Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum here with some words of wisdom to start our day off well. And we have a card deck that, man, I'm not even sure we used it at all in 2024. So interesting, this one jumped off the pile today. Interesting story behind this card deck. And good morning, Barb. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. And there's Joneel. Good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. So as I was saying, we haven't seen this card deck in forever. And interesting that it arises now. Good morning, Beth. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome, welcome. And this card, oh my God, this card, you guys. I read the title and I went, yep, there we go. Joneel and I filmed yesterday for another Common Ground Conversations, and so this card fits right in. So let's see. But I want to start first with a little energy stuff because this is a card that it is easy to feel resistant to. So I want to open things up so we can receive the message and we can, I'm going to use a powerful word here, we can transcend our lower vibrations that want to keep us in opposition with this. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And move us into a place of possibility and openness and receptivity and all the good stuff. Good morning, Gwen. Welcome, welcome. So, because really what we are being called to do here, good morning, Catherine. Welcome. All the practical rebels rolling in. We're being called to be practical rebels. So, what makes sense and what is presenting itself right in front of us to do that. Can we acknowledge that what we have been doing had bugs and wasn't working, and while many of us aren't comfortable with the bombs being dropped to blow things up, there certainly is need for change. Some of what's happening even speaks to how important it is there's change. Good morning, Linda. So, and this card deck, it's the Ascended Masters deck by Doreen Virtue. Remember Doreen Virtue? Remember quite a few years ago, something happened. She renounced all of her work, kind of threw Hay House into a tizzy because she was one of their top-selling authors, and she was saying no more. And yeah, I still have some of her decks sitting on my shelf. So I bless her on her way. I bless her on her way, her path, whatever it is at this point. And interestingly, I felt called to pick up this stone earlier as I was doing some prep stuff. Good morning, Mel. Glad you're here. And after I was holding it in my hands and feeling like I was energizing it more than it was energizing me, I got a sense that it needs to be right under my phone, where all of you are housed at the moment. Isn't life interesting? So, Ascended Masters deck. Yes. Time for going down a different road. But we are weary from having gone down the same road, trying mightily to quit falling in the same damn hole, sliding in anyway, having to expend energy to dig ourselves out. Yes. Time for a new road. And that road will be found, I believe. Good morning, Bobby. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. I believe that road will be found through contemplation, going within, stillness, honoring the divine in each other, even when we don't like the packaging on someone, honoring the divine within them. Everyone has the divine within them. Sometimes it's really hard to see, but it's there. And we need to honor that it's there. And we need to behave in ways that honor that divinity. So our card for today, are you ready for this? Well, first, a little bit of energy work, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it. All right, I want you to rub your hands together. I want you to point them out. And think about the people, practical rebels, who are always on these calls every morning. Here to learn things, to feel things, to challenge their own thoughts and beliefs. Good morning, Abigail. Welcome, welcome. We're sending energy to each other. The Practical Rebel group, there's 10 of you and me here. At least 10, because we know that counter is not accurate. But sending energy to each other and creating that space of openness, receptivity, willingness to hear, willingness to learn, willingness to let go of the idea that we have to know stuff. We have to know everything. We don't know everything. And oftentimes we are stepping forward in faith and trust rather than out of knowledge. We get the nudge. We know it's time. We take the step, even though we're really stepping blindly. Feels like it. Feels like it. Now I want you to rub those hands together again. Now that we've kind of established our safe haven for all the practical rebels and anyone else who wishes to enter, now I want you to send it to yourself. Openness. A willingness to believe that there's more than meets the physical eye, the physical ear, the physical smell, sense, nose, smell, taste, touch, all the physical things. There's much more. There's much more to our existence than that. Opening to acknowledge that. Opening to acknowledge that story of the blind men touching the elephant. That is our reality right now. We are fighting over having touched different parts of the elephant. Our reality is intact for that little particular part. It's not the whole picture. It's not the whole picture. So acknowledging that we don't have the whole picture, acknowledging that we have our part and that our part is important, but that there are other parts and those parts are important as well, and openness to, I wonder where this is going to take us. I wonder where this is going to take us. And notice that it's us. It's not us and them. We. Collective, connected, inextricably connected. We can't disconnect from others if we try. And we do try. We do try. We other all the time, right? That's not, that's them. That's not me. No, it's all of us. It's all of us. That which you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. So, with that in mind, Ascended Masters deck, see the other person's point of view. See the other person's point of view. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Doesn't mean you even have to understand all of what led to them coming to that position. But do your best. Do your best to step into whatever understanding you can get as to why they're coming from where they're coming from, right? So I'll share a little story and then I'll tell you about the Ascended Master this is, and I'll read the card to you. But way back when, a bazillion years ago, early in my career as a psychologist, I had a court-ordered referral for a man who, as soon as he walked in and plopped down, I mean, first of all, court-ordered folks are not happy to be there, right? And just belligerent. And you're sitting there and you're going, yeah, this is going to be an unpleasant hour. So, as we worked on things, there were times where I even got a little provocative in terms of my questioning because I wasn't getting the information I needed to do what needed to be done. So, at some point, he slapped his hands on his blue-jeaned knees, he leaned forward and he said, lady, there's two kinds of people in this world. Them that gives the beatings and them that gets the beatings. And I am not going to be the one that gets the beatings anymore. There it was. There was his philosophy of life to understand what led to the behavior that got him arrested and landed him in my office. That made all the sense in the world. So, our ascended master for today, this is a long word, guys, Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara, that's who that is. So let's get you a little closer to him so you can actually see. He's an Eastern deity. But let's see what he has to tell us, all right? First, they're talking to us. You have strong emotions about this situation, and you may feel upset, misunderstood, or used. How many people are feeling that way now? This card comes to you as a pathway to peace. We'll just pause right there for a moment. A pathway to peace. There are such things, pathways to peace, and we can choose to take them. By asking you to consider others' points of view. You don't need to agree with these other individuals. You're simply asked to understand their motivations and to have compassion for their feelings. So, like this particular human being was not a very pleasant human being. It was very easy to dislike this human being, but he's a human being, and there's divinity within, even when all you see on the surface is this reprehensible behavior. He was there for child abuse. Easy to write him off, right? As I learned more about him, I came to have some understanding. How wounded he was. Did that make it okay what he had done? Absolutely not. It offered explanation, not excuse. And that was always my guideline with that kind of crap. It offers explanation, but not excuse. Think about that with regard to some of what's going on these days. Good morning, Brenda. Welcome, welcome. We need to understand as best we can people's motivations. Those people fully believe they're entitled to those motivations, right? We may disagree with that. We may highly disagree with that. But to be able to step into what might motivate someone to believe that it's okay to do what they're doing, what this particular person, whoever you want to pick to practice with, is doing, be curious. Be curious. Because how much better, like even with this gentleman I was talking about, how much better was I going to be able to deal with him when I understood what his motivation was? When I understood that he believed he was either going to be the victim or the perpetrator, and he was choosing perpetrator. How much better able to deal with him was I going to be knowing that, right? So the same for those who are operating at levels we don't understand. It's useful to step back and ask yourself, what beliefs might motivate someone to behave in that way? What kind of a belief system do you need to have in place to make that particular choice of behavior okay? Are you going to agree with the motivation? Probably not. Probably not. But an understanding of that motivation can be very helpful. Very helpful. So let's keep going here, see what we got. You don't need to agree with these other individuals. You're simply asked to understand their motivations and to have compassion for their feelings. Now, compassion for their feelings also doesn't mean you're giving them the blessing to behave poorly, but it may mean that it helps you not respond in ways that are going to inflame a situation as opposed to address a situation. This process can positively shift the energy of power struggles, much like letting go of a rope during a tug of war. So I oftentimes with clients will use this thing. You're pulling this way, they're pulling that way. What's going to happen? There's not much movement that's going to happen there until maybe someone is exhausted and falls over. Is that a positive way to get where you want to go? Not so much. What if you stop pulling? there can't be a tug of war if you're not willing to pull, right? So if you stand there and you say, I'm done with this, let's find another game to play, things can go a different direction, right? As you see the other person's point of view, you open the door for creative solutions to enter. Good morning, Joe Bell. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're here. As you see the other person's point of view, again, it doesn't mean you agree with it. You open the door for creative solutions to enter. Additional meanings for this card. See yourself through the eyes of any person you desire to know or meet. So, and oftentimes for women, we do way too much of that. But there are some people who really don't. I mean, there was another client I had who had engaged in reprehensible behavior and was being very provocative and boundary crossing with me in the session. And at one point I just sat back and I said to him, how do you think I'm reacting to what you're saying? And he got real quiet and he looked just like a little boy. And he said, I think you're probably disgusted with me. Wow. Wow. So he kicked open a door that then we could do some work on the reprehensible behavior. Don't write people off. Don't write people off, because oftentimes there is a deep inner observer who knows that what's going on isn't appropriate. They know that. That's where the defensiveness comes from. Good morning, Catherine. Thank you for posting that. I appreciate it. So the more we can step into that compassion, again, it isn't condoning. It isn't condoning. But you're opening the door for those creative solutions. See yourself through the eyes of any person you desire to know or meet. And sometimes when you step into their shoes and imagine what you think they think, it can be very helpful. The reactivity that many people have around being called a label, whatever it is, you conservatives, you libtards, you this, you that, the name calling, right? Step into that other person as best you can. What's going on within them, do you think, that sets up the label flinging, right? The othering, clearly there's othering there, but there's more. It's worth the effort to step into that. And oftentimes there's a scarcity piece involved in a lot of this. Do I believe in scarcity? No. I believe there's abundance. But I believe because of the scarcity fears that many people have, there's a lot of hoarding going on. So there seems to be not enough to go around because we're not moving it around. We're hoarding it. So when you come from that place of there's not enough to go around, and if I have less, if you have more than I have less, it sets up a battle. It sets up a fight for resources. On the other hand, if you come from abundance, there's more than enough to go around. I'm willing to share what I have with you. I'm willing to see the playing field as not equal yet, and share what I have to help elevate others. There are a lot of nuances to a lot of this stuff. None of this is simple stuff. There's multiple layers to things, which complicate the picture, right? Which complicate the picture. So, let go of defensiveness in your relationships. I want you to pay attention to something. If there's something that you're feeling defensive about, there's by definition some aspect there that you're not confident in. Be willing within yourself to take a look at that aspect. What about this am I not confident in? What about this might I actually be on a similar mind path as those I perceive as others, right? So I'll give you a for instance with that. When someone accuses me of being liberal and I just want to give everybody handouts, I balk at that. I balk at that. I believe people need to contribute what they can contribute to society. I believe people have different capacities for contributing, but I do feel like we are only as strong as our weakest links. And if we don't lift up those who maybe don't have as much capacity as others, allow them to do as much as they can do. But if we don't lift them up in some ways, we're creating weakness across all of us, across all of us. So, yeah, I don't believe in handing out. I do believe in a hand up. Let's help each other up. Look past the surface personality and see the divine within others. Are we having some ideal opportunities to do that? Look past the surface personality and see the divine within others. Big challenge for us right now. Forgive past hurts and start anew. When we nurture old wounds, it damages us. It keeps us playing small. It keeps us trapped in the cage. Oftentimes the person who hurt us, whether consciously or subconsciously, has gone on with their life. We're the one paying the price, and we're the one keeping ourselves in the cage. So we get to choose about that. So now we're going to learn a little bit about Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara is an Eastern deity who watches over the world and hears all prayers. He's considered to be the male energy form of Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion. And we have our whole Kuan Yin deck, which we greatly enjoy. So this is her male counterpart. Avalokiteshvara has elected to postpone his ascension into Buddhahood until all of humanity is free. And it's interesting, I read that line and my cynic jumped up and said, well, he's going to be around for a long time then. Not necessarily. We might get it at some point here. We might. I'm going to keep the faith. Until then, he's readily available to anyone who calls upon him for help with spiritual growth concerns. This whole thing we're going through is about up-leveling, is about spiritual growth. It looks like we're fighting it on the war analogy, the 3D playing field, but it's really a 5D energy. We're struggling to birth this new way of being. It's messy. It's like real birth. It's messy. So call on him. Call on however you go about it. And some people have the there's a word, I'm missing it. You're relying on false gods, blah, blah, blah. It's all one. It's all one. If you pick out a facet to focus on, how many people have focused on Jesus? There's a whole lot of other powerful prophets, but many people have picked that particular prophet to focus on, right? So expand a little bit. Expand a little bit. Check out some of the other, this book is full of all kinds of Paul the Venetian. I don't know why that one always makes me laugh. Paul the Venetian. There's a lot of them in here. King Solomon, Jesus, all kinds of them. But when you find an energy, the Marys, oftentimes women in particular will choose Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene as an aspect of the divine, it's all one, to focus on, to call on, to commune with, right? Back to the mystic thing. Really what a mystic is someone who has a direct relationship with God, spirit, creator, universe, as opposed to going through intermediaries, priests, whatever. So that is our card for today. See the other person's point of view. Interesting card. Interesting card. And I was very, very curious as to which card was going to pop up when I saw that this was the deck we were getting. So, have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including being willing to see another person's point of view. Bye-bye.